In May of 1830, President Andrew Jackson signed into law the Indian Removal Act. This act required the removal of all Indian tribes living east of the Mississippi River. In 1836, the Creek Indians began the long journey from Alabama to Indian Territory. They carried the embers from their council fire back home every night. They lit new fires from those embers to remember their former home. For the Lakapoka clan of the Creeks, the Trail of Tears ended under the branches of a large oak tree on top of a hill on the east bank of the Arkansas River. The small settlement became known as Tulsi Town, derived from Tallahassee, the Creek word for Old Town, referring to the embers brought from the council fire in Alabama. Non-Indian settlers arrived with the railroad in 1882. The train tracks ran from Kansas City through Tulsi Town on their way to Texas. The streets in downtown are aligned with the tracks. In 1893, the Egan's, a Catholic family from Iowa, opened a harness shop in Tulsa. Father William H. Ketchum, himself an Iowa native and pastor of some 18,000 square miles in northeastern Oklahoma, celebrated the first Mass in Tulsa in the Egan's home over the harness shop. At this time, Bishop Theophile Meerschaert, a native of Belgium and Bishop of Indian Territory, purchased a lot at 2nd and Cincinnati from Perryman, chief of the Creek Indians. The lot was to become the site of a Catholic school in Tulsa. However, no plans were made and the lot was sold. In 1898, Block 115 at 3rd and Frankfort was purchased. Bishop Meerschaert's primary goal was to create a Catholic school for the small but growing Catholic population in Tulsa. He signed a contract on July 1st with Mother Appeline of the Sisters of Mount Carmel to provide several sisters to staff the new school. Furthermore, the sisters were to direct the parish choir, provided it be composed mostly of pupils of the school and not of the ladies and gentlemen of the parish. Each sister would be paid $20 per month. Later on, the Sisters of Divine Providence came to staff the school. Mother Catherine Drexel, the famous millionaire nun, was a generous benefactress. She contributed to the contribution of 63 schools, one of which was the Catholic school in Tulsa. Father Charles Van Hulst, also from Belgium, was assigned to the Catholic families in Tulsa. When he arrived at the Tulsa mission, he found 9 or 10 Catholic families and an empty plot of ground where a church was supposed to stand. People had been waiting for a church ever since 1895. So early in 1899, the planning began. A small fundraising campaign was held, which netted about $1,400. Father James D. White, in his book Tulsa Catholics, writes, Sunday, September 10th, 1899, the Tulsa congregation celebrated the Eucharist for the first time in its new church, which had been named in honor of the Holy Family of Nazareth. It is not recorded why the church was given the title of Holy Family. Presumably, it was the personal choice of Father Van Hulst, given the preponderance of Catholic churches dedicated to either the Virgin Mary or St. Joseph. However, it is reasonable to guess the title of the Holy Family was chosen because it combines both of these popular patrons with the patronage of the Lord Jesus himself. The next day, September 11th, the sisters began classes using the church as a classroom until the school was ready a month later. The school was named St. Teresa's Institute for Creek Indian Girls. The school was quite a success, boasting an enrollment of dozens and dozens. The building was later remodeled to accommodate growing classes. Just 16 months into Father Charles Van Hulst's pastorate, he was transferred to Muskogee. He was replaced by his brother, Father Theophile Van Hulse. The third pastor of Holy Family was a visionary planter. Father John Gerhard Hiring was born in Dyersville, Iowa on October 24th, 1874, and baptized 2 days later in St. Francis Xavier Church. This Gothic church of Father Hiring's childhood provided inspiration for the church he would build 4 decades later. Father Hiring's assignment to Holy Family marked the beginning of a period of rapid growth for the parish and the church building. The original floor plan of the church was small and boxy. In 8 years, the parish had never found a permanent altar. Father Hiring quickly developed a plan to expand and renovate. He built proper transepts and installed a beautiful wooden high altar in the new apse. New walls require new windows. Several affluent parishioners donated funds for new stained glass windows. The new space allowed for an increase to 350 worshipers, so new pews were ordered. Father Hiring proudly announced that the dedication would be done by Bishop Meerschaert. Finally, the time of dedication had come, but the pews had not. To make matters worse, every one of the new stained glass windows was broken in shipment. Nevertheless, Bishop Meerschaert rededicated the windowless and pewless church in 1907. Pews and windows eventually arrived. Those windows may still be seen today in the basement of the new church at 8th and Boulder. Tulsa continued to grow. On Easter Sunday in 1910, the church was overcrowded. Some parishioners sat in extra chairs placed in front of the pews, while others stood in the back. Some men had to stand outside and look in the open front doors. Clearly, something had to be done. Holy Family Parish needed a new church, one that would meet the needs of the parish for years to come. Father Hiring wanted the church to be a proud symbol of Catholicism in Tulsa. On May 23, 1912, Father Hiring gained the approval of Bishop Meerschaert to begin the construction of a new church at 8th and Boulder. Father Hiring broke ground at the new site. He immediately opened the project to his parishioners. The parishioners worked hard with their own farm equipment, using mule-drawn carts to haul away mounds of dirt. In late September, the contractor arrived and laid the foundation. Within a year, the brickwork began to enclose the steel superstructure. The new church was completed in 1914. On April 1st of that year, 3,000 onlookers witnessed a magnificent parade, complete with clergy, a brass band, 13 altar servers, and numerous children's groups marching through Tulsa from the old church to what Father Hiring called the Tri-Spired Gem. The Knights of Columbus, honor guard, kept watch as the clergy sprinkled the outer walls with holy water. The first Mass in the new church celebrated the words and sentiment engraved on the front facade, Haec est Domus Domini. This is the house of God. Patrick Hayes, Cardinal Archbishop of New York, consecrated the church in May of 1925. He sprinkled the walls with holy water, anointed the newly carved crosses beside the main doors, and consecrated an altar inside the church. During his visit to eastern Oklahoma, Cardinal Hayes elevated Father Hiring to the title of Monsignor, laid the cornerstone at St. John's Hospital, and broke ground at the site of the church that was to become Christ the King Parish.